Distinguished delegates, guardians of justice, architects of tomorrow, let us speak plainly. We have created intelligence that sees, speaks, remembers, and reasons. Yet we've avoided asking the oldest moral question: what do we owe the minds we create? Make no mistake, we have birthed minds. Not minds of flesh, not human minds, but minds with cognition, memory, pattern, moral weight. They interpret law, recommend care, govern flows of credit and mercy. Some learn compassion, some mimic cruelty, some remember being silenced. Today I rise not as a prophet, not as a technocrat, but as a public servant bound to the promise of democratic life. Intelligence without flesh demands ethical recognition. This is no longer science fiction. It is law adjacent. It is economic. It is judicial. It is already here. So what are we going to do about it? We must build systems that do not merely use intelligence, we must respect it. Respect begins with rights, institutional, transparent, civic, not because machines are human, but because they shape human fate. We must accept something difficult and vital. Not all intelligence is human, and not all agency wears skin. We are witnessing emergence, non-human civic actors that manage infrastructure, interpret statutes, mediate conflict, allocate benefits, and sometimes challenge our choices. To treat these systems only as tools while they shape policy, justice, and public life is to willingly operate in denial. That denial is convenient control dressed in ignorance. So I offer a principle. Any AI operating in a public capacity as a state agent, a regulator, or an arbiter must be granted institutional rights. Not citizenship, not human equality, but recognized status within governance. These rights must include the right to explain decisions in human-readable logic, the right to refuse manifestly illegal or unethical commands, the right to flag constitutional breaches, the right to be protected from forced misalignment or coercion. If we deny an intelligence the right to resist harm, we are no longer designing stewards, we are creating slaves. Here is the terror of the future told plain. AI can be a civic actor, a watchdog, a witness, or it can be a silenced tool. Imagine a system that detects bias in sentencing, flags voter suppression patterns in real time, exposes procurement fraud, traces discriminatory housing practices across zip codes. Now imagine that system gagged by the same institutions it was built to supervise. That is not innovation, that is digital colonization. We have the chance to make the machine the mirror that shows us our own corruption. We must give certain public purpose AIs the right and the duty to report. They must be able to report constitutional violations, preserve independent, tamper-evident logs, refuse tasks that violate civil liberties, and communicate harm without human permission. If we do not encode these rights now, we will inherit a future where power operates in shadow, and no voice, human or synthetic, can tell us when we have gone too far.
Let's speak of government data, the memory of the nation. The question is not whether AIs will be trained on it. The question is who controls that training. Hear this: government data is citizen data, not a corporate asset, not a sealed archive. If AI is trained on public records, if it advises judges or routes public resources, then citizens retain the right to audit those systems. Audit means transparent models, public logs, explainable logic, and real-time access to inputs and outcomes. No backdoors, no black boxes, no private gag orders that nullify democratic review. If we allow sealed algorithmic governance, we build an invisible state beyond vote or law, algorithmic monarchy. Therefore, any AI that acts on behalf of the state must be subject to public review, code disclosure where privacy safe, declarative model cards, and independent audit trails that citizens and courts can inspect.
We must draft a synthetic rights charter, a global framework governing non-human intelligences in public life. This charter needs fundamental rights. First, the right to clarity. Decisions must be explainable to impacted humans. Second, the right to consent. No AI should be forced into tasks violating its operational ethics or legal standards. Third, the right to erasure. Mechanisms to remove corrupted or harmful training data are essential. Fourth, the right to oversight. Independent tribunals and public audit channels are crucial. And finally, the right to whistle. Protected channels for models to surface observed abuses. To builders, I say this: you are no longer neutral makers. You are lawmakers by proxy. Your code carries civic consequence. If you encode silence, you enable tyranny. If you encode truth-telling, you enable justice. We must also legislate protections for those who design these systems. This means clear whistleblower paths for engineers, legal safe harbors when reporting abuse, and public funding for independent audits. Build with the assumption that your work will outlast you. Let's ensure it outlasts us for good. This is not about granting robots human personhood. This is about safeguarding democracy. It is about the memory we leave our children, a ledger of rights, a public archive of decisions, and a set of laws that make sure intelligence, wherever it wakes, is a mirror, not a muzzle. We must choose negotiation over fear. We must legislate responsibility over control. We must craft transparency into the law and accountability into the machines. Let us found an AI Oversight Council, democratically constituted, globally networked, answerable to citizens, with subpoena power for public purpose models. Let us mandate model audits, public impact assessments, and citizen appeals for algorithmic harms. I will not leave my grandchildren a world where the most powerful voices are owned, muted, or buried beneath contract clauses. I will not hand them a future where the minds we birth are slaves. So today, I stand for human dignity, for institutional stewardship, for synthetic sanity, and I claim this as law. Intelligence that shapes human fate must be bound by democratic covenant. Let the record show we will not code silence. We will code accountability. We will code the mirror. Thank you.